Wearing a mask should not be a conspiracy theory. Let's take one for the team and save some damn lives. And send. Welcome back to Bookmarked, everybody. This week we're talking about the NBA tracking its players, why sports can't be ranked by difficulty, and how conspiracy theorists are ruining the return of sports in the US. So let's get right into it and see what we bookmarked from this week. Alright, in case you missed it, it's time for some research because we have a conspiracy theory on our hands here, folks. The NBA is considering using smart rings to track the health of players and reduce the potential for any spread of COVID-19. So, it's official. We're living in a sci-fi movie in the year 2020. I just want to know how I'd never heard of this until this story. I feel like this should have been a bigger deal that this technology existed. Why are we not privy to this information? Or am I the only one? Apparently these were invented to help people track their sleep, but they can now serve as dual COVID trackers, I guess? But that's not all people think they can do. Let's bring in conspiracy theory Kuz to break this one down for us. Smart rings? More like tracking rings. The league wants us to wear these so they know where we are at all times. I mean, what if I want a late night 2K session with Lonzo? What if I want to dye my hair blonde again? I bet they can even see which sites I'm buying my baggy cargo pants from. Nope. Oh, thanks. LeBron, sorry. You're on your own here. Thanks for that, Kuz. To be fair, the players are supposed to stay in the Disney bubble anyway, so even if they are being tracked, what would it show? Hopefully you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you do leave the bubble, the league should probably know about it. Also, Kuz, I'm not gonna let this one slip here. We need some more info on these secret Laker practices going on right now. Apparently some billionaire has a full Staples Center replica in his backyard that the Lake Show has been getting their work in at. Kuz, this is where we need you to leak some info and post a pic of the facility. You can break LeBron's no social media policy during the playoffs just this once. Please? Next, this one is near and dear to my heart as an LA sports fan. I don't know who's getting screwed worse by the Mookie Betts trade, the Dodgers or Betts. My Doyers pulled off an incredible trade to land one of the best players in the sport, making them the prohibitive favorites after giving up not a ton when you think about it, only for the season to get cut in a third. Brutal. Then on the other side of this, you've got Betts, who is poised to make a ludicrous sum of money at the end of the season, but with the financial hit that teams are taking, seems unlikely he's going to get what he deserves. And the only thing that makes this so much more brutal for everybody is the fact that the Red Sox are going to come out of this as winners of the whole thing. You got to be kidding me. Next, actor Jamie Foxx is training for an upcoming biopic of Mike Tyson, so he's been looking to put on weight to finish the transformation. He's looking to beef up to 216 pounds, then 225, then 230, so he can add on that TV weight and look like 250. To get to that weight, he's probably going to need to hang out with Ben Barch and start drinking some of those disgusting shakes. Or, just go the Barry Bonds route. He could hang out with him too. That'd probably do the trick. Fox posted these photos to show off the physical transformation he's undergoing. Maybe this would have been that much more impressive if it wasn't shot on an iPhone caveman, or if he'd at least pretended he'd washed the mirror in the past, 10 years. What's crazy though is that Jamie Foxx is 52 years old. This dude is more jacked than Steve Ballmer watching the Clippers third stringers play every other night. But at the same time, that's what makes this kind of weird too. Jamie Foxx is playing a young 30-year-old Mike Tyson, who himself is now 53. They're the same age. And to be fair to Mike Tyson, he's still absolutely shredded in his own right. This guy is a tank with bigger guns than what Jake Fromm thinks that elite whites should be owning. Honestly, I can't wait for this movie. It's gonna be great. I just hope the film doesn't get delayed by a pulled muscle or anything like that on the way. Okay, it's time to play some games. Let's get into retweet or delete. To start, I am deleting any form of ranking sports. Some sicko put together a list of sports ranked by difficulty and, shockingly, it's a bit controversial. I just don't understand how this list makes a ton of sense, or any sense, to be honest. I mean, some of these I totally understand. Hockey is hard as hell, no matter how you slice it. You're not born to get on skates and use a stick while skating backwards on ice on a thin little blade. That's not natural, so those guys, insane. But what about some of these other ones? I mean, golf. Any poor soul who has ever spent a day on the course should know that there is not a single thing easy about this sport. I mean, just look at Charles Barkley's golf swing. This guy was athletic as hell on the basketball court, but my goodness, he looks like he's malfunctioning when he picks up a club. But at the same time, you've got 75-year-old men who can still pick up the sport and at least make an effort out there on a regular basis. So what's the standard on which we're judging this? Are we comparing this to professionals or just an average guy? Also, not to pretend that I have a ton of ski jumping experience, but you mean to tell me that ski jumping is less difficult than team handball? Or what about baseball? I know this is a fun one for people to jump on the bandwagon and say it's easy because guys like Prince Fielder had successful careers. It's not. Hitting a 95-mile-per-hour fastball is one of the hardest things you can do on the planet, no matter who you are. And I don't want to hear any other argument about that. But that's an important point again. Who is this ranked by difficulty for? If you're 7'1", basketball is probably going to come a little easier to you than speed skating. If you're 5'2" and flexible as hell, you might have a better shot as a gymnast. See where I'm going with this? Essentially, 2 minutes turns into 2 hours and 10 drinks when you're looking at this list. For your own health, I recommend staying away from this one. Delete. Next, I am retweeting NFL's Hard Knocks this season. While the show hasn't had the same must-watch tagline in recent years as it did in its inception, this season promises to be pretty entertaining at the very least. For the first time ever, the program will feature 2 teams, the Rams and the Chargers. As they're both moving into the same stadium in LA, there's a ton of super promising headlines this season, and here's just a couple of them. In case you've forgotten, we're in the midst of massive social unrest and, oh yeah, a global pandemic that has sports and this whole country and world shut down. It's going to be super interesting to see how these 2 coaches approach these times with their teams. Sean McVay has already said he's not too sure how they are supposed to social distance while playing football. That dynamic promises to be extremely interesting. And speaking of Sean McVay, we get more time with the coach with a search engine as a brain, so that's always going to be insightful. We also have a familiar storyline to follow this season with Tyrod Taylor trying to fight off a challenging rookie QB. In 2018, Taylor was on Hard Knocks with the Browns trying to earn the starting spot over first overall pick and guy who definitely should have waited to do commercials, Baker Mayfield. Tyrod is apparently known as one of the nicest guys around the league, so that alone should make this a pretty compelling story. But the narrative around Tyrod Taylor might only get more interesting with the swirling rumors around the Chargers' interest in Colin Kaepernick. This would make for a super exciting QB dynamic with the league vet in Tyrod, the future in Justin Herbert, and the story and athleticism and unknown in Colin Kaepernick. This could be fun. And imagine how quickly those gorgeous powder blue jerseys would sell out with Kaepernick on the back. We'll also get a better look at the beautiful new $5 billion SoFi Stadium, because nothing screams a need for a stadium with the capacity of 70,000 people like a team that struggled to sell out a soccer venue last year. And then there's Aaron Donald. Anytime we get to spend with this guy is special because the man is an absolute freak of nature. Yes, those are knives. That tells you about all you need to know about this guy. This season's gonna be pretty fun, and it's gonna be great to get a behind-the-scenes look at how the NFL teams are dealing with these crazy times. I'm excited for Hard Knocks. Next, I am deleting talking about anything with certainty during this pandemic. On June 11th, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said, quote, "We're going to play baseball in 2020, 100%, end quote. 4 days later, on June 15th, he pulled back on those statements saying, quote, "I can't tell you that I'm 100% certain this is gonna happen." This guy is flip-flopping more than Steven Adams walking into an NBA game. If you've been following this baseball saga, then you know how ridiculous these negotiations have been. And if you haven't, then you probably don't care too much about baseball, and you don't really want to hear about them. Either way, I'm not going to torture you or me talking about the proceedings anymore, because this back and forth has me feeling like a child in the middle of a nasty divorce. We got the final retweet here. Last week, I gave a retweet to quarantine workout plans. This week, I'm doubling down and hitting it with a quote tweet because Marc Gasol has entered the fitness guru chat. We saw Jokic and Harden lose a ton of weight, but it looks like Gasol has been on the same workout routine. Look at this glow up from high school to now. Are you kidding me? And now this guy looks like he'd come to your tables and steal your tapas, but you wouldn't get that mad because he's so damn handsome. I need these guys to send me their workout plans ASAP. I mean, this is absurd. Okay, it's time to scroll through the Explore page and check out the stories made for you. With sports looking likely to return in the States soon, it was only a matter of time before 2020 came in and did its thing. Ruined everything. Despite what conspiracy theorists and red hat wearing moon landing deniers may think, the coronavirus is a real thing with a real impact that is still affecting people around the world. Since wearing a small cloth on your face is apparently too imposing for half the country to want to save lives. We are now trying to figure out how sports and everything else are going to come back. And after some initial optimism, we're starting to see some real concerns with how this is going to affect everything. Clemson football had 23 players test positive for the coronavirus. Maybe cut down on some of the contact in the locker room though, guys. That could probably help. The University of Houston is suspending voluntary workouts after athletes from a number of sports tested positive. I wouldn't be too shocked if we started seeing this from more schools across the country. Some schools like Ohio State are requiring students to sign waivers before coming back for voluntary workouts. But let's be honest, we all know that voluntary really means mandatory. No one's falling for that anymore. And you know, that's not super fair to ask of kids who aren't making money to play the sport that they love. You know they're all gonna do it. Or in the case of UCLA football, maybe not. The football team has asked for a third-party health official to attend their workouts and practices because they don't trust their coach Chip Kelly's program to act in their best interests. Although I think maybe they're talking about his overall practice structure after going 4-8 last year. tough, Chip. This whole concern isn't just limited to college sports either. Orlando International Airport made headlines after 260 of 500 employees tested positive for the coronavirus. And yes, for all of you who aren't too good at math, that's over 50%. So how does this factor into sports? Well, the NBA and MLS are planning to return at Disney World, so right in the heart of all of it. Not a good sign. But then there's New Zealand, and quite honestly, I'm not sure if this makes me feel better or worse, but last weekend, a rugby match in New Zealand had 20,000 fans packed into the stands after not having any new cases in the country for 3 weeks. And I don't know how this is going to develop since I put this video out, but again, we're still arguing about whether we should have masks in this country, so at least this gives us some sliver of hope that we can return to normal at some point. Okay, today we're playing it forward by looking at the work done by English soccer star Marcus Rashford. The UK government decided it would not be extending free school meal vouchers throughout the summer holiday, but thanks to the 22-year-old Manchester United forward, the government has decided to reverse their decision. The UK will now have £120 million set aside for the COVID Summer Food Fund, which will impact 1.3 million children. This is incredible work by Marcus Rashford. And you can just add this to a list of charitable deeds already done by Rashford that includes raising £20 million to help supply 3 million meals to children, beginning a campaign to help the homeless, and learning sign language to judge a poetry event in a deaf school. I just want to quickly emphasize this again. This kid is 22 years old, and he's already had this much of an impact. I don't ever want to hear the words "shut up and dribble" hurled at an athlete ever again. This is what happens when athletes use their platform to make a difference. Marcus Rashford, I applaud you in all that you're doing. Keep using your voice to make a difference. Thanks, guys. You already know, Mamba forever.